The town of Mount Weiser was founded in the early 1800s by a group of settlers led by Elias Weiser, a wealthy landowner and entrepreneur with a vision of prosperity. Nestled deep within the Appalachian wilderness, the town was built around the promise of rich farmland and bountiful hunting grounds. However, the land carried a sinister history, one known only to the indigenous tribes who had long avoided the area. They called it the Hallowed Grounds, a place where the shadows whispered and the trees drank the blood of the fallen. Elias Weiser dismissed these legends as mere superstition and led his people forward. He built a grand estate at the town's center, a sprawling mansion with high stone walls and towering spires that loomed over the town like a sentinel. But as the town grew, strange occurrences began to take root. Livestock vanished, crops withered overnight, and townspeople reported eerie whispers drifting through the forests at dusk. By the 1830s, disappearances had become common. Elias, desperate to protect his settlement, sought counsel from an old hermit named Silas Corbin, a man rumored to have knowledge of the land's dark past. Corbin warned Elias that the town was built upon cursed ground, a place where something ancient and insatiable lurked beneath the roots of the trees. It did not hunger for food, it hungered for blood. Elias refused to abandon Mount Weiser. Instead, he and a group of townsmen took drastic measures. They hunted down a mysterious figure believed to be the source of the town's misfortune, a woman named Isolde, who lived deep in the forest. The townspeople called her a witch, though in truth she was a healer and guardian of the land's forgotten lore. They burned her at the stake in the center of town, believing her death would break the curse. With her dying breath, she uttered a warning: "The land has claimed you. The forest will never let you go." In the years that followed, the disappearances continued, growing worse with each passing generation. The town's fate was sealed, and those who remained lived in fear, trapped by the curse that bound them to Mount Weiser. The first thing I noticed about Mount Weiser was the silence. It wasn't the peaceful quiet of a sleepy town, but the heavy, oppressive kind that seemed to press against your ears as if the air itself was holding its breath. The road leading into the town was cracked and overgrown, the forest encroaching on either side like a living thing. The trees were tall and gnarled, their branches twisted into unnatural shapes that seemed to claw at the gray sky. I rolled down the window of my car, and the smell hit me: damp earth, rotting leaves, and something else, something metallic and faintly sweet. I hadn't been back to Mount Weiser in over a decade, not since the accident, not since my sister Clara disappeared. The town looked exactly as I remembered it, frozen in time. The buildings were old, their paint peeling and windows dark. The streets were empty, not a single soul in sight. It was as if the town had been abandoned, but I knew better. The people of Mount Weiser were here, hiding behind their curtains, watching me with unseen eyes. I could feel their gaze like a physical weight. I parked my car outside the Weiser Inn, the only place in town that still took guests. The sign above the door was faded, the letters barely legible. The innkeeper, a gaunt man with hollow eyes, greeted me with a nod, but no words. He handed me a key and pointed me toward the stairs. The room was small and musty, the wallpaper peeling at the edges. A single window looked out over the town square, where a crumbling fountain stood in the center, its water long since dried up. I dropped my bag on the bed and sat down, my hands trembling. I hadn't expected to feel this way, this overwhelming sense of dread. It was as if the town itself was alive, watching me, waiting for me. I shook my head, trying to dispel the thought. I was here for one reason: to find out what happened to Clara. I owed her that much. The sun set early in Mount Weiser, the shadows stretching long and dark across the town. I decided to take a walk, hoping to clear my head. The streets were eerily quiet, the only sound the crunch of my boots on the gravel. The lampposts flickered weakly, casting pools of dim light that seemed to make the darkness between them even deeper. As I passed the fountain, I noticed something strange. The ground around it was wet, as if the fountain had been running recently, but that was impossible. The fountain had been dry for years. I knelt down, running my fingers through the damp soil. It was cold, almost icy, and the metallic smell I'd noticed earlier was stronger here. I stood up, my heart pounding, and looked around. The town square was empty, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I hurried back to the inn, locking the door behind me. The room felt colder than before, the air thick with an unamiable tension. I lay down on the bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to calm my racing thoughts, but sleep wouldn't come. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Clara's face, her wee, terrified eyes staring back at me. It was past midnight when I heard it, a faint tapping at the window. I sat up, my breath catching in my throat. The tapping came again, louder this time. I forced myself to look, my heart pounding in my chest. The window was fogged over, but through the haze, I could just make out a figure standing outside. It was too dark to see clearly, but I could tell it was a woman. Her hair long and tangled, her face pale and gaunt. "Clara?" I whispered, my voice trembling. The figure tilted her head as if listening, and then she was gone, vanishing into the shadows. I rushed to the window, throwing it open, but there was no one there, just the empty street and the cold, biting wind. Determined to uncover the truth, I ventured into the woods where Clara had last been seen. The forest was darker than I remembered, the trees towering above me like silent sentinels. The air was thick with decay, and the deeper I went, the more the whispers surrounded me. A sudden movement caught my eye, a shadow flitting between the trees. My pulse quickened as I followed it, my feet moving against my better judgment. I came upon a clearing where a small, weathered cross stood. My breath caught in my throat as I read the name carved into it. Clara. Before I could react, the whispers grew into a deafening chorus, and the ground beneath me shifted. I turned to run, but a cold, skeletal hand clamped onto my wrist. A figure emerged from the darkness. Clara. But she was not my sister anymore. Her eyes glowed with an unnatural hunger, her mouth curled into a sharp-toothed grin. "You shouldn't have come back," she whispered. Darkness swallowed me whole. Mount Vicer remains, and now so do I, trapped just as Clara was, bound to the curse that has haunted this place for centuries. When night falls, I watch from the shadows, waiting for the next soul foolish enough to return, because the forest always hungers, and it will never be satisfied.